What AI is doing right now is not the same kind of wave of disruption as mobile was, or cloud or social media. Those waves changed how the work got done. This one is fundamentally changing what the work is worth. And more significantly, it's going to shape the kinds of human capability that is going to remain valuable, and which kinds of capability are going to become even more valuable, and also which kinds of human capability are going to become commoditized overnight. And a year from now, you're either going to be on the side of those who have repositioned for the AI era, and as a result of that, elevated your influence and impact, or you'll be on the side of that line still trying to catch up while chasing the hype and fearing relevance takeover. In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 key principles on how to reposition for the AI era. Principle number 1, AI will not replace everyone. It will elevate some people and expose everyone else. You see, every human capability lies on this spectrum from commoditization to premiumization. And there is a commoditization threshold where capabilities that sit above this threshold, they are very scarce, they're difficult to produce, and they're more valuable on the labor market. Capabilities that sit below this commoditization threshold, they are abundant, they are easy to produce or replicate, and they don't differentiate you no matter how good you are personally at it. Capabilities tend to gradually move across the spectrum, especially when new technologies bring something that was previously scarce into mass production. For example, in the 60s, there used to be a job title that was called computers. The term computers referred to an individual that was extremely gifted in mathematics, and it took years of training, a lot of discipline, and a lot of work experience to become a computer. And a great example of how computers applied was in NASA. A lot of computers at that time were hired as experienced mathematics, and they had engineering backgrounds as well, to be able to do the manual calculations that were required for the earliest space flights that are recorded in history, and the Apollo mission as well. And eventually, when electronic computers were invented, a new technology brought this scarce human capability into mass production. And as a result of that, manual calculations are no longer, they no longer happen. Now we depend on electronic computers, right? So this is one key example of how something that was previously scarce, a human capability, can become mass produced when a new technology is introduced. Now, there are many more examples in history outside electronic computers, but the pattern remains the same. A new technology is introduced, and it replaces the part of human capability that is commoditizable. Now, AI is one such new technology. But the difference here is that AI moved a much larger and a much more sophisticated group of human capabilities below the commoditization threshold, more than any previous technology in history. Now, these human capabilities include a lot of things, right? Drafting, analysis, computations, communications, strategy, just to name a few. And all of these capabilities represent the production of competent professional output. Now, AI may not necessarily be better than you in any one of these things in isolation, but it did make the execution of these things at near zero cost, and oftentimes faster. So when I say that AI will elevate some people and expose everyone else, here's what I mean by that. Exposure is what happens if your visible contribution sits inside the layer that AI just commoditized. And that's when you become indistinct, not differentiated. And that indistinction is exactly what defines exposure at senior levels. Elevation is what happens when you develop value beyond the commoditization threshold. And as a result of that, you are distinct. And it also happens when you wisely leverage AI to remove the part of your work that is commoditizable so that your unique contribution gets a larger share of your attention and your visible time. Principle number 2, AI is reshaping every level, but the level of disruption at the senior level is different in nature. While entry-level positions are becoming more narrow and mid-career professionals are facing a market that has fewer and fewer roles and opportunities that they were trained to fill, the disruption, the wave of disruption at the senior level is characterized primarily by repricing. Well, think about it. The work that you do at the senior levels, the value you're expected to produce, the result you're expected to produce for the company, the way that you are being evaluated for that output and the production, and also the future in terms of opportunity is changing so fast. And often it is changing without explicit acknowledgement. So what does this look like in practice? Well, for one, compensation premiums for senior titles are now coming under scrutiny. Deliverables can be either completely or significantly delivered by one of your juniors who really knows how to use AI. Conversations about AI are happening without you. Decisions are being made even faster than you can keep up. And more importantly, your visible output no longer differentiates you because everyone's output has gone up. So all of this represents a gradual drift towards indistinctness. And that's what makes a senior professional feel vulnerable. And this indistinctness is really difficult to recognize, especially if you're in the middle of it and it's happening around you. One of the principles that I teach clients in my mentorship sounds like this. Promotions are not a reward on past effort, but they are bets on future capability. But right now in the AI era, the past effort has been largely commoditized. That exact past effort that built your senior career, that built your competency and your mastery in your domain or in your subject area, it's been largely commoditized. And the future bet now is the one meaningful thing that remains that can get you to your next opportunity. But where that bet and how that bet is being placed and the basis on which it is placed has been changed. A second principle that I teach my clients in my mentorship sounds like this. If your impact is hard to interpret, it will be easy to overlook. But again, right now in the AI era, impact is hard to interpret across the board. So what distinguishes one senior leader from another is going to be hard to infer from the work itself, so therefore it must be visible somewhere else. For senior levels, your response to the AI era cannot be defensive. And when I say defensive, I mean like trying to keep your role, trying to prove your value, or trying to keep up with the AI tools. Those are all defensive measures. But instead, your expertise needs repositioning. That's the response to AI as a senior professional, is repositioning your expertise. Now, that requires that you get a really good read in the moment, but it also asks you to reconsider, maybe for the first time in your career, but to reconsider what the actual basis of your value has now become. This is exactly what I teach in my live events and in my mentorship for professionals who want to understand how to navigate this AI era. The details are in the description below. So click the link below if you want to discover the full frameworks and if you want to really understand how to reposition your expertise for the AI era. Click the link below and I'll see you on the inside. Principle number 3, how you use AI determines your fair market value. Now, the dominant and the most common response to AI is to use it more, right? Drafting responses, messaging, communication, going through strategy, thinking through problems, double checking your responses, and so on and so on and so on, right? Because the thought process here is that if AI is a productivity tool, then use it more, right? So the logic seems sound, but is it? It would be sound if productivity was the only variable that mattered, but is productivity the only variable that mattered? What if the variable that really matters is what's happening to your underlying capability as a result of you gaining more productivity? So then over time, maybe you use AI more and more because you're under the assumption and the belief that, quote unquote, you're getting rid of the human weaknesses. But then eventually something subtle starts to happen. Your ideas start come slower when you don't have that AI assistance. Your thinking feels like it's getting less sharp when you don't have AI to cross-check with and you don't have AI to strategize with. And maybe you're starting to second-guess your instincts, second-guess your choices, the ones that you used to trust, and now you're second-guessing them. You see, your brain is a use-dependent system. The cognitive aspects of it, The neural pathways that produce the cognitive capabilities, they wire together and they strengthen together. And that's why every time you learn a new skill and every time you commit to thinking, the neurons that are wired together in that capacity, they fire together and the connections between them grow stronger. That is called neuroplasticity. The opposite also happens with neuroplasticity, where neural pathways gets weaker from lack of use. So all of those cognitive capabilities that built your career, your ability to think through problems, your ability to communicate and speak your insights and your thoughts, your ability to think through strategies and come up with solutions, all of those things become stronger as you use them, and they become weaker when you do not. So you see, every time you outsource a thinking task, or your thinking or your communications or your strategy, anytime you outsource these cognitive capabilities to AI, your brain is not doing the work, and therefore it's not getting the repetition. And connections that you use become stronger, connections that you do not use become weaker. What makes this so hard to see is that your output remains polished, but the polish is coming from AI. And here's the thing, you just gotta realize that the fair market value on your expertise is proportional to the capability behind it. And the thing that senior professionals are getting paid for, the capability that senior professionals are getting paid for, is getting weaker in the background. So if your capability is becoming weaker, then the fair market value will decrease regardless of how good the polish is on the outside. So all in all, you are being squeezed by two directions at once. In one direction, the capabilities that AI have commoditized have lost differentiation externally. In the other direction, the capabilities that AI cannot commoditize are losing strength internally. And both are being accelerated by the same process, which is indiscriminate use of AI. So those who will elevate in this era of AI are not going to be the ones who use AI more, but they will be the ones who leverage it with wisdom and discipline. Principle number 4, there is a smaller set of capabilities that has just become more valuable. So if AI has just moved a large group of more sophisticated human capabilities beneath the commoditization threshold, then the corollary is also true, that there is a smaller set of capabilities that has just got moved in the opposite direction, which means that they're becoming more scarce, they are more difficult to produce, and they are difficult for AI to replicate. And the fair market value of these capabilities is rising at the same time as the commoditized ones are falling. And these small set of capabilities have something in common, is that they all live at the layer of cognition, which is thinking, strategizing, analyzing. They live at the layer of communication, which is speaking, framing, and being able to articulate and express. And they live at the layer of connection, which is your presence, your relationship intelligence, your emotional intelligence, and all of these things AI cannot replicate. Now, of course, there are several areas around the world where they are trying to replicate this with new technologies, labs and scientists and engineering is coming together to create robots as human as possible. But the value of these capabilities exists in the human being from which they originate, not in the output they create. I'm not going to be able to walk you through them one by one here because each one requires a depth of teaching in order to really truly understand it. But if you want to be able to dive deep into it, that's exactly what I teach in my live events and in my mentorship. Click the link below to find out more. AI is repricing professional expertise at a scale that most of us will not see again in our working lives. But this repricing is a window, it's not a permanent state. And every market repricing, it resolves in 3 phases. In the first phase, most people, a majority of the people are unaware of the value structure. And so those who reposition early can do so with low competition for the new scarce capabilities. In the second phase of this resolution, this is where there's a greater awareness of the value structure. And so therefore, the return on repositioning is less. It's smaller because there's greater people and the field is more crowded. In the third phase, the whole value structure and the repositioning becomes a baseline, and new entrants are going to be trained into it. And so the advantage of repositioning has been fully arbitraged away. Right now, we are still early in phase 1. 12 months from now, the same understanding is going to produce smaller returns. So the way you use AI from this point forward is going to determine your fair market value, because using AI without wise discipline will weaken the exact capabilities that AI cannot replace. And in addition, a smaller set of capabilities has just become more valuable. So your opportunity is right now. The window to reposition around these is still open right now. So the decision you have to make moving forward is whether or not you are going to reposition around these capabilities while you can still create an advantage.